Welcome and hello everybody to EuropeActive's Horizon 2025. EuropeActive was in the middle of reorganizing and strategizing for 2025 when COVID hit and changed all our lives upside down in late February. And we were kind of dreaming of what the great 2020s were going to have for the fitness and physical activity sector. Everything was booming and everything was active and huge positivity. And so the immediate thing that happened was the task was to consult our different stakeholder groups, from club operators to suppliers, national fishers associations, exercise professionals, a lot of you who are listening to this today, and deliver on their critical needs. And we did that. We defined that, and we released a strategy paper, and EuropeActive presented that during the shutdown. And we looked at best practice, and the different sharing of this with our different stakeholder groups. We offered weekly educational webinars during this period. Me, like you, have been on a lot of webinars. You're on another now. We're all pretty webinared out. I wish I'd invested in Zoom. But here we are. We got together experts and published standards and guidance for safely operating through the period as fitness and health clubs and as exercise professionals. So our core DNA stayed the same and gave us consistency and meaning. So in EuropeActive's work for our sector during this challenging time, we take those two things. Europe, that represents who we are, where we come from, and who we are responsible to. I'll add that I think we're affecting people outside Europe with the great things that are happening in our facilities. And then active. That represents our sector and our sector's unique role, responsibility, and exceptional potential in European society. So these values are DNA. Our foundation hasn't changed, just as our sector's unique potential as providers of physical, social, mental well-being in our communities. That hasn't changed. It's remained the same. But life needs to be understood backwards, but it's got to be lived forwards. Let's keep being mindful of our roots and those visionary pioneers who paved the way before us, who recognize the importance of fitness. So while we are courageous to leave in the past, to leave the past, what should be past it has to go. We have to move on. We have to take those things that have happened and move on and create our collective goals as a sector. That should be our highest potential as respected providers of physical, social, I've said it before, and mental health and well-being to the citizens of our communities across Europe. We see further that when we stand of those giants, those pioneers who led the industry, and they led us from a 0 to 10% penetration rate. And we have to honestly and self-critically address our sector's vulnerabilities in order to reach 20% market penetration and beyond. That's our target. So the EuropeActive's team and board, they've worked hand in hand to deliver on our stakeholders' immediate needs during the first months of the COVID crisis and shutdown. We drew on endless experts, and on the other hand, we're looking forward towards what's going to happen in 2025. The ship doesn't stop. You've got to keep going. So we have a challenge, but there has to be a vision. So we have to keep looking towards realizing our sector's greatest potential, towards turning the page to the next great and greatest chapter of our sector's history. With our experts, we identified the vulnerabilities and shortcomings we have as a sector. You have to be able to look at these things, look them in the face up to them. And we need to see, in terms of reaching general recognition as an essential part of the public health and the important socio-economic contributions we can make, and we needed to look at defined, effective solutions. So we organized these initiatives and solutions under 4 headlines, and it's enormous, but we all know, and I use that mantra of, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I apologise to every vegan and vegetarian watching these things. And obviously, as a well-known conservationist, I apologise to all elephants as well. But we needed to break it down into a manageable area. So 4 headlines: health, digital, community, us, and standards. So we are determined to use the current challenging time to inspire to critically rethink our current ways and lead our sector towards a recognised, centrally placed position in our communities in the coming years. So how do we get there? So I want you to join me as we move through EuropeActive's primary initiatives and objectives for the upcoming years, or that we call our Horizon 2025. So the first of those was health. Yeah. So with any health strategy, when you're a trade organisation, it's going to be underpinned by looking at your public affairs strategy. And we saw that around Europe, our sector was placed towards the top of the list for reopening if we were considered a public health solution, as well as being impactful on socio-economic factors. But we were at the bottom of the list for reopening in countries where our sector is considered predominantly leisure, entertainment and sport rather than health, perhaps seen as unprofessional and having very low socio-economic impact. Funny, a sector hitting both areas, all doing the same thing and having completely diverse effects on the way people think. So we needed to make sure that policymakers are presented with effective scientific evidence-based arguments underpinning our sector's future potential. This is crucial. We are going to continue to want to bat at the highest tables to get our sector recognised. But our sector, it doesn't sit in a bubble. There are other sectors. There is the power of $300 million of lobbying from the pharmaceutical sector and so on. So we need to do this together as a sector, and we need to think how across Europe do we make this happen? Because our great endeavour to position our sector as public health providers in the coming year will have to address not just at that European level, but at national level, regional level, and at local levels. Therefore, EuropeActive is increasing its resource for the EU and public affairs team. And this needs to be done to strengthen also our active alliances with other national fitness associations. They've done some fantastic job over this period. Some of them were well developed and had the resources to do that. Some less developed. But gosh, I'm proud on how national fitness associations have acted over this period. And in order to assist them in their national and local efforts, we need to get more human resources into EuropeActive to help that happen. So we thought about this, and during this period, there has been the CEOs of the largest operator chains have been sharing best practice, looking at these things. And what we're now drawing them into a President's Council for CEOs. And this gives them the opportunity to deliberate across different chains and look at crisis management like COVID-19, but not just COVID-19, and see how they individually and collectively can influence and help in the public affairs and the policy makers in looking more at what our sector is doing. Our President's Council is made up of the largest chains out there. And hopefully they will help fund and make this possible. But the funding is a necessary part of it. This is in order to pay for the people to deliver the work for the sector towards public health and assisting those national fitness associations. The CEOs of this President's Council will also commit their organisations to such objectives of EuropeActive as upskilling our sector's workforce on the basis of EuropeActive's professional standards, implement the SEN facility standards over time, support the research of Think Active. We'll talk more about that in some time. How exciting is that? and I'll come back to that, and reducing our sector's carbon footprint through the Green Pledge, an area that is absolutely crucial, that we cannot go backwards and not influence how many of us went out there and for the first time in a long time, certainly those who were in London, breathed some air that they could actually swallow and looked up at the sky where they could actually see the stars. The President's Council for Operator CEOs will also be an advisory board for the board and myself and the leadership and the team for the strategic development and improvement of our European Sector Association. EuropeActive comes out of this, and that is the research centre. I spoke about knowledge and the importance of having really effective peer-reviewed journals by experts in areas. And it's essential to the success of our public affairs strategy that we present political decision makers and the external work with the right and effective arguments. So EuropeActive will be our research centre and future European think tank for fitness and physical activity. How exciting. How many of you in this audience can contribute to that? Nearly all of you. Fantastic. Being led by an academic advisory board of relevant academics from universities across Europe who have stood on podiums in universities that we can quote off the top of our heads when we read journals of best universities of the world. There are countless scientific arguments for our sector's positive impact and potential in society. But in order for them to have decisive positive effects for our sector, we need to gather and present them in a systematic and concerted fashion. And through EuropeActive and EuropeActive's public affairs team, that becomes possible. It's already conducting research. EuropeActive is active and presenting evidence-based arguments for our sector regarding the positive health effect of regular work and exercise during COVID-19, as well as COVID-19 risk in fitness facilities in Europe. Off the back of that, we will have a European Medical Fitness Summit. EuropeActive intends to create the first, I say it again, large-scale European cross-sectoral platform for the promotion of fitness and exercise for medical purposes. Our European Medical Fitness Summit will organised by EuropeActive, and it will unite relevant academics, health professionals, insurers, our sector's leaders, your views, with the bridge-building purpose to connect fitness and exercise to healthcare and the medical community. The summit will showcase the many examples from around Europe, and there are so many, of medical fitness in practice, and will facilitate a higher level discussion of moving our sector closer to being considered an effective solution to public health goals. So let's move on to the next major strategic topic on our journey, and that is digital. So everyone talked about digital over the period, the importance of digitalization and fitness tech. It's never been spoken about so often, and I hope that people out there are still talking about it and driving it forward and making sure they have solutions and are ready for what almost inevitably may be other lockdowns or opportunities to shut down. But digitalization is much more about than that. It's about just expanding our digital infrastructure and an increased speed in the coming years. So we are seen as players in that digital arena. So our strategy is essential for our survival and success in the future. So there is also a EuropeActive Digital Council, and this will be the digital advisory board to EuropeActive. It will inform our association's strategic decisions and will educate and inform our sector's businesses on digital and tech. This council will constitute the foremost professionals and an innovative group of experts of the digital and tech part of our sort of sectoral ecosystem, for want of a better word. And executive events for these people, we will run so that you guys, so the people out there, so sectors managers, leaders, will have the opportunity to learn and see how they can capitalize on that, whether it's at the EHFF, and there will always be sessions on digitalization and tech. We would like to facilitate and enable the digital part of our ecosystem to grow and to help our sector to develop and expand its digital infrastructure with confidence, not being nervous about the word. We've been jumping up and down, doing press-up star jumps and all the rest of it. We need to embrace the digital worlds. And we do this through facilitating networking, sharing of best practice, and collaboration across the digital part of our ecosystem. We also aim to help startups develop their innovation ideas into the business successes, drive them forward. Our publications will embrace this area too. EuropeActive's publications, such as the Europe Health and Fitness Market Report, which we publish in partnership with Deloitte, is already the gold standard of our sectors. And in the coming years, we will present multiple publications with our experts, exploring the field of digital and tech in the physical and fitness and physical activity sector, differences we're making, how we're embracing companies that aren't from our sector, what is happening. Our aim is to inform our sector generally about digitalization of our business and to provide the part of our ecosystem with reliable business data for further innovation and growth. Data is crucial, and we will need data collector partnerships across Europe. We are already building data collection partnerships across Europe, and that is part of what is happening. This will enable our continuous digital gathering of data, and therefore more reports, more publications, more information, more proof that we make a difference, and we will have things like our European COVID-19 impact report. EuropeActive's partnership for digital data collection also gives us much more accurate picture of consumer behavior across the continent, and that makes it possible for us to widen our measurement of our sector's market penetration beyond fitness club membership. Our new data collector partnerships will strengthen the reliability of our educational publication and therefore the strategic decision of our sector's businesses, but not just our sector's businesses, also those from the health sector who are looking in on us. So moving on, that's number 2, digital. Let's move on to the next strategic headline. That is community. So community, we've always been good at community, the health and fitness community, the leisure community, and all the rest of it. And we put that into the title of active citizenship. And what we need to do is improve our sector's environmental, social, and governance standards. It's essential in order to improve our standing and recognition in society. If you're not looking at the community, if you're not looking at active citizenships, you cannot be expected for the communities to be looking at you and asking you to influence the outcomes. So we hope to promote and highlight the many indicative things that are going on by our sector to engage our local communities around fitness and physical activity. Active citizenship is crucial. It aligns our sector with the relevant United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. That's fantastic. The fitness sector, the United Nations. Is that the table we want to be sitting at? Absolutely. Let's get there. And in order to become respected actors for physical, social, and mental well-being in our communities, we must constantly demonstrate our willingness as a sector to take responsibilities for society, which will expand our revenue and market long-term, undoubtedly, but more than that, it will make a huge socio-economic impact. And as a sector, we have to become much better at demonstrating our socio-economic impact. We have to be looking at these things in terms of improvement of public health and our creation of tax-paying jobs in health promotion. During the shutdown, we saw in many European countries a lack of knowledge of the part of politicians when it came to the positive effect of our sector in society. And that we have to change. We have to educate the politicians, the decision makers, all the people out there that we are going to make sure they know about that. And so that brings us on to really exciting new initiative, and that's Think Active. And Think Active is exactly that. It's to demonstrate the socio-economic impact of our society to the external world. And from that, we mentioned the green impact earlier. And we will have a EuropeActive's Green Pledge, and it will be based around CO2 reductions. And we should take responsibility for that. And I believe that we will. And there will be a pledge in there based around that and making a difference to our planet. But I do ask people privately here, do your own thing. Do your own thing in your own community. People are looking to capitalize on the difference that has happened in the world during this time. At EuropeActive, we believe that living a healthy life is closely connected to environmental protection and green transition. And one of the positive sort of aspects of the COVID-19 shutdown certainly happened to me, as that we learned to operate across borders without flying everywhere. And I think as a European sector association, we're determined to go first and reduce our unnecessary plane travel by committing to our simple green pledge, where we'll ask EuropeActive large and small stakeholders to support. And that is to look at that less travelling. And we're going to hopefully and will have prizes for those who embrace the pledge, those people who reduce the CO2, those people who take it on in their local communities. And at the European Health and Fitness Forum, we will reward those who are making a difference to the planet, because the difference to the planet means people are breathing fresh air, which makes them healthy, which goes back to fitness, which is what we're about. And we need to expand a little bit further. Think about those new consumer groups, the active aging, seniors. They're a great example of social responsibility being linked to increased revenue and market. Yeah. So there's an opportunity that comes out of inclusivity about opening up a new sector. Yeah. But we've often been criticised for preaching to the already convinced fitness users instead of to more unlikely or not traditional users. Those working in the medical field across Europe are leading the way by offering special concepts and offering to special populations like seniors and children. They're absolutely doing this. A much more inclusive approach to society will undoubtedly lead to greater external respect from our society. If we are showing what we do affects children, affects older people, affects those with mental health, those suffering from certain illnesses, it has to have an impact on how people feel about us. So we need to become a more health-orientated focus, and therefore great new business opportunities will happen. So moving to the fourth and the final headline, and I thank you all for your patience, and that is standards. It's taken over 5 years, and I know I sounded exasperated there, but to get it right, it's taken some time. But we have the first series of SEN standards, known to the geeks out there as EN 17229, that set out clearly how clubs need to operate as safe and proper places. What can be more important than being a safe and proper place in the new world that we live in? These standards are available in a series of e-learning modules so that owners, managers and staff can learn and check themselves against the standards. The SEN standards would undoubtedly help our credibility with our customers and, I say this and listen, the trust of healthcare professionals. Healthcare professionals judge standards. They look at standards. It's how they're judged. They understand them fully. So the second set of standards will be available early in 2021. And these cover the qualifications needed for fitness professionals and the requirements of remote supervision of our clubs. Which brings us on to our future leaders. Hopefully some of you are out there educating our managers. Who are the people who are going to take forward this hugely exciting opportunity that is coming up? This is of pivotal importance to ensuring great and innovative leadership that will bring us forward to our sector's new chapter. We're therefore enormously excited about working with EuropeActive. They've asked us to work with them, and we'll really take them up on that offer to develop their current Future Leaders Programme into our joint Active Leaders Programme in partnership between EuropeActive and EuropeActive. Our new leadership training programme at the IESE Business School, and anyone who's been on any of the previous ones will tell you it's no walk in the park. However, the plus side of that is in Barcelona, so that's not so bad. We'll kick off in mid-2021 and bring together ambitious managers and leaders from all of Europe. Based on our analysis of good practices coming from different countries and experts, we contributed to the World Health Organization global guidance for fitness and sports facilities to reopen after the lockdown. And we quickly developed and published our own detailed summary with an online version, e-learning package of guidance that has been widely used across Europe and around the world to help our clubs to reopen. Additionally, EuropeActive's Professional Standards Committee has reviewed our standards for exercise professionals in order to ensure safe professional practice during COVID-19. We've had EREPS, it's been there for some time. Could it be more important? It's preciously important. The European Register of Exercise Professionals is EuropeActive's professional register and the most effective tool of our sector to promote professional identity for our exercise professionals and grow consumer confidence. The ability EREPS has as an effective tool to demonstrate our professionalism, to work with those training providers, to work with those big, fantastic organisations like SIMSPA in the UK, but is also our tool to promote the constant upskilling of our workforce, which is needed to reach our future potential as a sector. And so now we've arrived at the end of our short journey through EuropeActive's, I'm going to say EuropeActive's, but your strategic initiatives put together towards our horizon. So the manifesto. I will end by once again expressing my gratitude and passion for the fitness and physical activity sector. I've served in this sector for most of my professional life. And I'm absolutely convinced with the direction and the initiatives which I presented briefly today through this short journey, we will be able to face COVID-19 and other challenges with unbreakable determination, turn the page to the next chapter of our sector's history and reach business and market potential beyond anything we have seen so far. Admittedly, it takes some courage to critically rethink the usual approach, but new results logically require new thinking, and we're not an industry that's short of courageous people. Now we've set the course and defined the enabling initiatives with brilliant experts in the European sector, with you guys, with lots of feedback. And now we need your commitment because we must grow into the new and stronger version of our sector together. This is a great endeavour, possibly, in fact, definitely, the greatest collective endeavour of our sector to this day. It will not happen overnight, but gradually over the coming years towards 2025, and with our concerted efforts and creativity, I do not doubt that we will get there. So let's leap into the future together, everybody. So please join me in signing our sectoral manifesto for the European fitness and physical activities sector. The manifesto is now ready, it's open to be signed online. It's hugely exciting. I've been passionately in this industry for over 30 years, and I ask us all to remain passionate and step forward, and let's make the difference we've always meant to have made. Thank you very much.